I pulled my Honda Civic into the guest parking lot of Azure Heights Resort, watching my mother's Mercedes and my sister's BMW already gleaming in the VIP section. The resort stretched across 15 acres of pristine lakefront property, its glass and stone architecture reflecting the afternoon sun. I'd chosen this place carefully for our family reunion. Very carefully. There she is, my sister Vanessa called out, her voice dripping with that particular tone she'd perfected over the years. We were wondering if you'd actually show up. I grabbed my modest overnight bag from the trunk. Traffic was bad coming from the city. From the warehouse district, you mean? Mom appeared beside Vanessa, her designer sunglasses probably worth more than my monthly rent. Patricia Williams had always known how to make an entrance. I'm surprised you could afford the gas money, dear. I forced a smile. I manage. Barely, from what I hear. Vanessa linked her arm through Mom's. But don't worry. We've already checked into the premier suites. I'm sure they have some basic rooms in the back building where you'll be comfortable. The valet approached, reaching for my keys. I handed them over, watching his eyes flicker with barely concealed judgment at my 7-year-old car surrounded by luxury vehicles. Separate checks, of course, Mom added as we walked toward the entrance. I wouldn't want you to strain yourself trying to keep up with us. This weekend is about celebrating success after all. The lobby of Azure Heights took my breath away, just as it had the first time I'd seen the architectural renderings 3 years ago. Soaring ceilings with exposed wooden beams, a massive stone fireplace, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake. Everything had turned out exactly as I'd envisioned. Isn't it magnificent? Vanessa spun slowly, taking it all in. This is what real success looks like, Maya. Not punching a clock at some warehouse. I'm happy for you both, I said quietly. Are you, though? Mom adjusted her Hermes scarf. Because every time we see you, you look more tired. More worn down. I told you that pursuing your little dreams would lead nowhere. You should have married Richard when you had the chance. His dental practice is thriving. Mom, I didn't want. What you wanted was to be stubborn. She cut me off with a wave of her hand. And look where it got you. Your sister is a successful realtor. I have my boutique consulting firm. And you're lifting boxes in a warehouse. A staff member passed by with a tray of welcome champagne. Vanessa snagged 3 glasses, handing one to Mom and keeping 2 for herself. Oh, sorry, Maya. I forgot you probably can't afford to tip for extras. It's complimentary, I said. Even better. Free things are more your speed. Vanessa laughed, not unkindly, just matter-of-factly as if stating an obvious truth. We approached the check-in desk where a young woman with a name tag reading Jessica greeted us with a professional smile. Welcome to Azure Heights Resort. How may I help you? Reservation under Patricia Williams, Mom said, sliding her black American Express card across the marble counter. Premier Suite. And Vanessa Williams, my sister added. Also Premier Suite. We're here for a family reunion. Jessica's fingers flew across her keyboard. Yes, I have both reservations right here. And you must be the 3rd member of the party, Ms. Maya Williams. That's right, I said. She'll be in whatever basic room you have available, Vanessa interjected. Separate reservation, separate billing. Jessica's smile tightened slightly. Actually, Ms. Maya Williams is listed as the primary account holder for all 3 suites. Mom's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. That must be a mistake. I can check again, but... Please do, Vanessa said. My sister works in a warehouse. She couldn't possibly be the primary on anything here. I felt the familiar heat creeping up my neck, not from embarrassment but from the effort of staying silent. Not yet. Jessica clicked through several screens, her expression growing more confused. The reservation is definitely under Maya Williams, with 2 additional premier suites authorized for Patricia and Vanessa Williams. There's also a note here that seems unusual. What note? Mom demanded. It says that Ms. Maya Williams has special privileges at the resort, but I'd need to check with my manager about. Special privileges? Vanessa laughed outright. For a warehouse worker? Jessica, honey, I think your system has a serious glitch. Let me just call Mr. Harrison, Jessica said, reaching for her phone. The general manager? Mom's tone shifted slightly. Is that really necessary? We just want to check in. For irregularities like this, yes ma'am. It'll just be a moment. As Jessica spoke quietly into the phone, I watched my mother and sister exchange knowing looks. "This is exactly what I mean, Maya," Mom said, her voice taking on that disappointed parent quality. "You probably tried to use some discount code or coupon that doesn't actually work at resorts like this. Now you're holding up the whole check-in process." "I didn't use a coupon," I said. "Then what's this about special privileges?" Vanessa demanded. "Did you lie on your reservation? Because that's fraud, you know." "I didn't lie about anything." A distinguished man in his 50s approached the desk, his suit immaculate, his bearing confident. Jessica straightened immediately. "Mr. Harrison, thank you for coming so quickly." "Of course, Jessica." He glanced at the computer screen, then his eyes found mine. His expression transformed completely, from professional courtesy to something closer to alarm. "Ms. Williams, we weren't expecting you until later this evening." "Plans changed," I said simply. "I see." He turned to Jessica. "Pull up the executive access codes, please. Level 10. Jessica's eyes widened. She typed something and her face went pale. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Ms. Williams, I had no idea." "Level 10. Vanessa interrupted. "What does that mean?" Mr. Harrison ignored her, focusing on me. "Ms. Williams, your family's reservation, all 3 premier suites, they're in the family party section, correct?" "That's right," I confirmed. "And you're listed as the approval authority for all charges and services?" "I am." Mom stepped forward. "Excuse me, Mr. Harrison, is it? I think there's been some confusion. My daughter Maya works in a warehouse. She couldn't possibly have any kind of executive access at a resort like this." Mr. Harrison finally looked at her, his expression carefully neutral. "Mrs. Williams, I assure you there's no confusion. Your daughter—" "It's fine, Mr. Harrison," I said quietly. "They don't know yet." "Don't know what?" Vanessa's voice had an edge now. "Aya, what's going on?" "Perhaps we should discuss this in my office," Mr. Harrison suggested. "No." I took a breath. "Here is fine." Mom's hands were on her hips now. "Maya Catherine Williams, what have you done? Did you use my credit information? Is that why you're on some executive list?" "I've never used your credit, Mom." "Then explain this," Vanessa demanded. "Because last I checked, warehouse workers don't get VIP treatment at luxury resorts." Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. "If I may, Ms. Williams works in warehouses, yes. She works in the warehouse operations of Williams Property Development Corporation." Silence. "Williams Property Development," Mom repeated slowly. That's a coincidence. Same last name." "It's not a coincidence, Mrs. Williams." Mr. Harrison gestured toward the lobby, the windows, the entire resort. Azure Heights Resort is the flagship property of Williams Property Development Corporation. Ms. Maya Williams is the founder and CEO. The silence that followed was so complete, I could hear the fountain trickling in the lobby behind us. Vanessa found her voice first. "That's impossible." "I assure you it's not," Mr. Harrison said. "Ms. Williams acquired this land 7 years ago. She oversaw every aspect of development, construction, and opening. Azure Heights has been operational for 2 years now, and we're consistently rated as one of the premier luxury destinations in the state." 7 years ago, Mom said faintly. "That's when you dropped out of Richard's life. When you said you had a business opportunity." "I did have a business opportunity," I said. "I partnered with 3 investors who believed in my vision for boutique luxury resorts. We started with this property." "But you work in a warehouse," Vanessa insisted. "We've seen you. You're always tired, always wearing those work clothes." "I inspect our warehouse facilities," I explained. "We have 3 properties now. Azure Heights, Mountain View Lodge, and Coastal Haven Resort. Each one has extensive back-of-house operations. Kitchens, laundry, maintenance, storage. I personally review every operation quarterly to ensure quality standards." Mr. Harrison nodded. "Ms. Williams has very high standards. She believes that luxury begins behind the scenes." 3 properties, Mom whispered. "The corporation is valued at approximately $85 million, Mr. Harrison continued, clearly enjoying this now. "Ms. Williams owns 51%. Her partners own the remainder." Vanessa sat down heavily in one of the lobby chairs. "This can't be real." "It's real," I said. I wanted to tell you both so many times, but what? Mom's voice was sharp. But every time I tried, you cut me off. You told me I was wasting my life. You compared me to Vanessa's success to your success. You made it clear that unless I was doing something you respected, it wasn't worth discussing. So you let us think you were poor, Vanessa said. You let us think you were struggling. You assumed I was poor, I corrected. I never said I was struggling. You just decided that warehouse work meant failure. Mr. Harrison's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smiled. Ms. Williams, your guests are arriving. Should I have them directed to the conference room? What guests? Mom asked sharply. I invited some people for the reunion weekend, I said. People I wanted you to meet. Ms. Williams has reserved the entire East Wing for the weekend, Mr. Harrison explained. That's 15 suites, the private dining room and the conference facilities. 15 suites. Vanessa's voice cracked. Who needs 15 suites? My team mostly. I thought you'd like to meet the people who've made this possible. A group entered through the main doors. Men and women in business casual attire, several of them carrying portfolios. I recognized my CFO Thomas Chin leading the group. Hiya. Thomas called out with a warm smile. We made good time. Is this your family? Thomas, this is my mother Patricia and my sister Vanessa. Mom, Vanessa, this is Thomas Chin, our chief financial officer. Thomas extended his hand to my mother, who shook it mechanically. It's wonderful to finally meet you, Mrs. Williams. Maya talks about you both often. Does she? Mom said flatly. Our CEO couldn't make it, but she sent the quarterly reports, Thomas continued, oblivious to the tension. He handed me a tablet. The numbers are strong. Mountain View Lodge exceeded projections by 12%. Coastal Haven is already booked solid through next summer. Behind Thomas, I recognized Sarah Martinez, our head of marketing, and Robert Kim, our director of operations. They filed into the lobby, greeting me with the easy familiarity of colleagues who'd worked together for years. Ms. Williams, Mr. Harrison said, should I show your family to their suites now? Or would you prefer to conduct your meeting first? The meeting can wait, I said. Let's get everyone settled. Of course. Jessica will handle your family's check-in. He turned to my mother and sister with a smile that was pure professional satisfaction. Ladies, you're staying in the premier Lakeview suites. They're our finest accommodations. Each one is 1,800 square feet with private balconies, separate living areas and 24-hour concierge service. Normally, they're $4,000 per night, but as guests of Ms. Williams, there's no charge, of course. 4,000, Vanessa repeated weakly. Per night, Mr. Harrison confirmed. Ms. Williams herself stays in the founder's suite when she's on property. It's not available to regular guests. How often are you here? Mom asked me. Once or twice a month. I rotate through all 3 properties. Sarah Martinez approached with a friendly smile. Mrs. Williams? I'm Sarah, head of marketing. I just wanted to thank you. Thank me. Mom looked bewildered. Maya told us how you taught her the importance of presentation and attention to detail. Those principles have been foundational to our brand identity. Azure Heights aesthetic is all about understated luxury, and Maya said she learned that from watching you. Mom's mouth opened and closed without sound. And you must be Vanessa, Sarah continued. Maya said you're a realtor? She actually used some of your staging techniques when we were designing our show suites. She did. Vanessa looked at me confused. You have good instincts for what makes a space feel welcoming, I said. I've always admired that about you. Robert Kim joined us, pulling out his phone. Is this a bad time to go over the expansion plans? We're looking at properties in Colorado and Maine, but I wanted your thoughts before we proceed. Expansion. Mom's voice was faint. We're targeting 5 properties total within 3 years, Robert explained. Maya's been very strategic about growth, quality over quantity. She turned down 8 potential sites last year because they didn't meet her standards. Thomas pulled up a document on his tablet. Mrs. Williams, you were in boutique consulting, right? Maya mentioned you specialized in helping small businesses scale. We could actually use that expertise. Have you ever considered consulting for hospitality? I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it, Thomas suggested. We're always looking for experienced advisors, And Maya speaks highly of your business acumen. Mr. Harrison returned with key cards. Your suites are ready, ladies. We've arranged a private dinner in the lakeside room at 7, per Ms. Williams' request. The chef has prepared a special tasting menu. The lakeside room seats up to 40, Sarah added. But tonight it's just your family and Maya's core team. More intimate. As Jessica handed over the key cards, Vanessa stared at hers like it might explode. Maya, I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us? I tried to 3 years ago. Do you remember? I said I needed to talk to you both about my business. Mom's face changed. At Thanksgiving, you said you had something important to discuss. And you said you were too busy with your own clients to hear about my little projects. I kept my voice gentle. You left early. Both of you did. I remember, Vanessa said quietly. You seemed excited about something. I thought it was another failed startup idea. It was this. Azure Heights had just opened. We were 3 months operational and already profitable. I wanted to share that with you. But you kept working in warehouses, Mom protested. You still showed up to family dinners in work clothes, tired, looking like I was working hard, I finished. Because I still am. Luxury resorts don't run themselves, Mom. Someone has to inspect the linens, check the kitchen storage, review maintenance protocols. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. Mr. Harrison's phone buzzed again. He checked it and his expression shifted to something like excitement. Ms. Williams, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Architectural Digest is on the phone. They want to confirm your interview for next month's feature on innovative hospitality design. Architectural Digest? Vanessa looked like she might faint. We're being featured in the Visionary Spaces section, I explained. They're interested in how we integrated sustainable practices with luxury amenities. You're being featured, Mom corrected, her voice strange. Not we. You. The company, I said. But yes, they want to interview me specifically. Sarah checked her own phone. Oh, and Maya? Forbes confirmed. You made the 40 under 40-foot list for hospitality innovation. They'll announce it next week. Forbes, Mom repeated mechanically. Thomas grinned. She's been dodging their calls for 6 months. Doesn't like publicity. I prefer to let the properties speak for themselves, I said. Well, they're speaking pretty loudly, Robert said. We're getting acquisition inquiries from 3 major hotel chains. Not that we're selling, he added quickly. Absolutely not selling, I confirmed. Mr. Harrison gestured toward the elevators. Ladies, shall I show you to your suites? Your luggage has already been delivered. We rode up in silence. Mom, Vanessa, and I in one elevator, Mr. Harrison operating the controls. The walls were mirrored, forcing us to look at our reflections. 3 women with the same last name, the same brown eyes, the same stubborn jaw. But strangers, really. This is you, Mrs. Williams, Mr. Harrison said as the elevator opened on the 3rd floor. He led Mom to a corner suite and opened the door with a flourish. The suite was everything I'd designed it to be. Elegant, comfortable, with that perfect balance of luxury and warmth. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake, a fireplace with genuine stone, furniture that invited you to sink in and stay. There's champagne chilling, fresh flowers, and your welcome amenity package, Mr. Harrison pointed out. If you need anything at all, just pick up the phone. Direct line to concierge. Mom walked to the windows, staring out at the view. You designed this. Every detail, I confirmed. It's beautiful, Maya. Thank you. We moved to Vanessa's suite next, identical in layout but with subtle differences in color palette. My sister stood in the center of the living area, turning slowly. The staging, she said suddenly. You really did use my techniques. You're good at what you do, Vanessa. I wanted to learn from that. But you never said. You never asked what I was learning for. Mr. Harrison excused himself, leaving the 3 of us alone. The silence stretched like taffy. Finally, Mom spoke. I need to understand something, Maya. Why let us think you were struggling? I didn't let you think anything. You assumed. And every time I tried to correct that assumption, you talked over me. You were so convinced that my choices were mistakes that you couldn't hear what I was actually saying. But the warehouse work is part of my job. I inspect every facility personally because quality matters to me. But you saw the dirty clothes and decided that meant failure. You never asked what I actually did at those warehouses. Vanessa sat down on the sofa, her designer bag sliding forgotten to the floor. At Christmas you said you were working on a big project. I said something about how you should focus on finding a stable job instead. You did. And at Easter when you mentioned traveling for work I made a joke about discount airlines. Also yes. But you were traveling to your own properties. To Mountain View Lodge actually. We were dealing with a supplier issue in the kitchen. Mom turned from the window. 3 years, Maya. You let this go on for 3 years. 2 years and 7 months, I corrected. And I didn't let anything go on. You chose to believe what you wanted to believe about my life. We're your family. You should have made us understand. I tried to, Mom. Multiple times. But you both were so invested in your narrative about my failures that you couldn't see what was actually in front of you. Vanessa's voice was small. The warehouse worker thing. We said that a lot, didn't we? Every time we met. Every phone call. Every family gathering. Oh God. Vanessa put her face in her hands. At Aunt Linda's birthday, I introduced you to her friends as my sister who works in warehouses, poor thing. I remember. What did you tell them? Mom asked. I said I worked in logistics. Which is true. But not the whole truth. No one asked for the whole truth. They just nodded sympathetically and changed the subject. Mr. Harrison's voice crackled over an intercom I'd had installed in every suite. Ms. Williams, your 4 o'clock with the interior design team is in 15 minutes. Should I push it back? I pressed the response button. No, I'll be right down. You have meetings, Mom said. It's a working weekend for me. I'm finalizing the design plans for the Colorado property. I moved toward the door. Dinner is at 7 in the lakeside room. You're both welcome to join us or you can have room service if you prefer. Everything is comped. Paya, wait. Vanessa stood up. I don't know what to say. How to apologize for. Don't apologize yet, I said. First, I want you to spend some time thinking about why you need to apologize. What exactly you're sorry for. Because it's not just the comments about warehouses, is it? They both stared at me. It's that you dismissed my work without knowing what it was. You decided my life was small without asking me about it. You measured my worth by your standards instead of considering that I might be building something different. You're right, Mom said quietly. I know I am. And until you really understand that, we're not going to fix what's broken between us. I left them there in their $4,000 per night suites, staring at the evidence of my success. The design meeting ran long. It always did when we were planning a new property. By the time I changed for dinner it was 6:30. I'd reserved the founder's suite for myself, the one space in Azure Heights that was entirely mine. Larger than the premier suites, with a private terrace and a soaking tub that overlooked the lake. I'd spent countless nights here over the past 2 years, fine-tuning operations, training staff, ensuring every detail met my standards. This resort was my vision made real, and it had exceeded every expectation. My phone buzzed. Thomas, your mom and sister are already at dinner. They look shell-shocked. Should I go easy on them? I smiled and texted back, be yourself, but maybe don't lead with the revenue numbers. The lakeside room glowed with candlelight when I arrived. My team had already gathered, Thomas, Sarah, Robert, plus department heads I'd asked to join us. My mother and sister sat at one end of the table, looking distinctly out of place among my colleagues. Paya. Sarah waved me over. We were just telling your family about the sustainability awards we won last year. Your mom didn't know Azure Heights was carbon neutral. It was important to me, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. Luxury and environmental responsibility aren't mutually exclusive. The chef himself brought out the first course, a delicate amuse-bouche that showcased local ingredients. I'd spent months developing relationships with area farmers and suppliers. This is incredible, Vanessa said softly. Chef Martin is exceptional. I hired him away from a Michelin-starred restaurant in Chicago. Throughout dinner, my team naturally wove stories about the company's growth, about challenges we'd overcome, about my leadership style. They had no idea they were filling in years of blanks for my mother and sister. The first year was brutal, Robert said. Maya basically lived on site. She was here 18 hours a day learning every position, working alongside housekeeping, maintenance, kitchen staff. She still does that, Sarah added. Last month she spent a whole morning working the breakfast shift in the kitchen because we were short-staffed and she wanted to understand the pressure points. Quality control, I explained. You can't manage what you don't understand. Thomas raised his glass. To the best boss we could ask for. Fair, demanding, visionary, and never asking anyone to do something she wouldn't do herself. They all raised their glasses. To Maya. Mom's hand shook slightly as she lifted her champagne. After dessert, people began to drift away. Some to their rooms, others to the bar for continued conversation. Eventually only Mom, Vanessa and I remained. I owe you an apology, Mom said finally. A real one. Go ahead. I've spent 3 years looking down on you, feeling sorry for you, making snide comments about your clothes, your car, your choices. And all that time you were building this. She gestured around the room. You were creating something extraordinary and I was too blind and too arrogant to see it. Why were you blind? I asked. Because I needed you to need me. Both of you girls, really, but especially you. Vanessa followed my advice. Went into real estate like I suggested, dated the men I approved of, built the life I envisioned. But you were always independent. Always doing things your own way. And I wanted you to fail so you'd come back and admit I was right. The honesty was startling. That's horrible of me, Mom continued. I'm your mother. I should want you to succeed regardless of the path you choose. Yes, you should. But I didn't. I wanted you to succeed my way or not at all. She looked directly at me. I'm sorry, Maya. Truly sorry. I looked at Vanessa. And you? I'm sorry for going along with it. For the comments, the jokes, the attitude. Vanessa's eyes were wet. You're my sister. I should have been happy for you no matter what you were doing. Instead, I used you to feel better about myself. Explain that, I said. Mom always held you up as the rebellious one, the one who wouldn't listen. It made me the good daughter by comparison. I liked that position. So when you were struggling, it confirmed that I'd made the right choices and you hadn't. It was petty and mean and I'm ashamed of myself. I took a breath. I appreciate the apologies. I do. But I need you both to understand something. This weekend isn't about rubbing your faces in my success. Then what is it about? Mom asked. It's about showing you who I actually am. Not who you decided I was, but who I've been all along. Someone who works hard, who builds things, who isn't afraid to get dirty in the process. I wanted you to meet my team, see my work, understand my life. And we've been attacking that life for years, Vanessa said. Yes. How do we fix this? Mom asked. I don't know if we can. Not right away. But maybe we can start by having honest conversations instead of making assumptions. Maybe you can ask me about my life instead of telling me what's wrong with it. I'd like that, Mom said. I'd like to know who my daughter really is. Me too, Vanessa added. The real you, not the version I invented. We sat there as the candles burned low, talking more honestly than we had in years. About their fears that I was throwing my life away, about my frustration at being constantly dismissed, about the ways we'd all failed each other. Can I ask you something? Vanessa said eventually. The car. The clothes. You have money now. Why not upgrade? Because the car runs fine and the clothes are comfortable. Success doesn't have to look like luxury vehicles and designer labels. Sometimes it looks like a 7-year-old Honda and work boots, because you're too busy building something meaningful to care about impressing people. That's a shot at us, Mom said, but she was almost smiling. A little bit, I admitted. Fair enough. We earned it. My phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Harrison. The architectural photographer is here for the morning shoot. Still want to be involved? I showed the screen to Mom and Vanessa. Tomorrow morning we're doing a photo shoot for the Architectural Digest feature. You're welcome to come watch if you want to understand more about what I do. We'd like that, Mom said. We'd really like that. 7 a.m. Be ready to walk the property. It's a 3-hour shoot. We'll be there, Vanessa promised. As we said goodnight, Vanessa hugged me. A real hug, not the perfunctory squeeze we'd been exchanging for years. I'm proud of you, Maya. I should have said that years ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Mom hugged me too, holding on a little longer. My daughter, the CEO. The innovator. The woman who built an empire in luxury resorts. I have a lot to learn about you. We have time, I said. If you want to take it. I do, she said. I really do. I walked back to the founder's suite alone, the resort quiet around me. Through the windows I could see the lake reflecting moonlight, the grounds perfectly maintained, every detail exactly as I'd imagined it. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Vanessa. I looked up your company. Forbes, Architectural Digest, the Sustainability Awards. Maya, you're kind of famous in the hospitality world. I texted back, kind of. I prefer to let the work speak. Her response came quickly. It's speaking pretty loudly. I googled you. There are articles, industry profiles, people calling you a disruptor in luxury hospitality. Don't believe everything you read. I'm starting to think I should believe more of it. Good night, little sister. Thank you for not giving up on us. I stood on my private terrace looking out over Azure Heights Resort, my resort, and thought about the journey that had led here. The late nights, the impossible challenges, the moments when I doubted everything. But also the triumphs, the satisfaction of seeing my vision realized, the pride of building something from nothing. My mother and sister had spent years dismissing me, and yes, that had hurt. But their opinions hadn't defined my reality. I'd built this anyway without their approval or their understanding. Tomorrow they'd see more. They'd watch the photographer capture the spaces I'd designed, hear the staff talk about the culture I'd created, witness the respect I commanded in my industry. Maybe they'd truly understand then. Maybe not. Either way, Azure Heights would still be here. My company would still be growing. My team would still believe in our vision. I'd built something extraordinary, not despite my family's doubts, but through my determination to prove nothing to anyone except myself. And that, I thought as I finally headed inside, was the greatest success of all.